That brings up a question I had. Uh, how do you feel about negas? I was going to make my backup character a nega.
About what?
A nega in EGA.
Oh, Nig. Where's that from?
I think Human Word Companion 2.
I'd have to take a look. I have it, but I don't think I've ever even really cracked it open. I'll have to take a look and see, though. All right, let's see. Recap what you guys did. All right, so after traveling into these lands, and you got into this house where these small girl and boy had mentioned their parents were down in the basement trying to sedate some sort of beast or something. We picked it up last session where you guys were on a balcony battling against some animated armor. Knocked you down a few times. Eventually, you were able to overcome that. Let's see. You headed upstairs to the next floor. You met the nurse's maid, who was eventually she started out as a banshee, and she is a banshee, but you're able to calm her down enough so she didn't have that aggression towards you and talk to her. She seemed quite dismayed at everything that was going on and worried about the children, both Thorn and Rose, the house children who were upstairs in the attic, as well as her child that she had, a bastard child, with the lord of the house, Gustav, named Walter, who was just an infant. She mentioned that the lady of the house, Elizabeth, had taken Walter. She was more worried about the children than herself, but she did mention that if you can somehow put her remains to rest as well, that would, be nice. But she was more worried about the kids. You headed upstairs into the attic where you came across the two children. They mentioned that the two children that you met outside were just manifestations of the house, and that the house had some sort of power or sentience that brought you here, and that they were just a trick. The two ghosts that you met in this room were the ghosts of the children, or so they say, who died in this room. They mentioned that their parents put them in this room to protect them from the beast in the basement, and then forgot about them. They died up here, both starvation, dehydration, and just nobody taking care of them, basically. But they seemed quite sincere. The smaller lad, Thorn, was quite interested in Mud and this creature that he was. Their remains were there, which Vasily, you picked up wrapped in a blanket and took with you across the hall where they pointed you. They mentioned that there is a stairwell that leads down into the basement of this house, or down into the dungeon catacombs. In that room as well, stuffed into a chest, was the remains of Galena, the nursemaid, and you grabbed those as well. Let's see. Mud, you led the march down the stairwell into the basement where you came to the crypts of this house. It had both Gustav and Elizabeth's crypts, which were empty. It had Rose and Thorns, which they were empty, but you did place the remains of the children into their crypts and sealed them up. When you did so, you guys could hear some sort of like a laughter on the wind, and sort of like this over sense of relief and pleasantry wash over you. Everybody got 1 fortune point for that, so make sure that's on your sheet. You were planning to take care of the nursemaid's remains, but her crypt was just overswarming with vermin and insect swarms. You didn't have any way to get past these things right now, so you just sealed them, the crypt, so you couldn't, so they wouldn't get out. Let's see. From there, you traveled down a little bit into what was looked to be a dining hall. The floors just littered with human bones and human remains. The large dining table itself also had a corpse upon it, with knives and forks and spoons ladled around it, plates that were dirty. You get the sense that the feast, from whenever this was from, was whoever that was on the table. You could see the bones were chewed and gnawed on a bit. In this room that you're in, which was where we ended it, there's a hallway behind you, which is where you came from. There's a hallway ahead that just turns around a corner into darkness. I think Vasily looked down these corridors and he couldn't really see much beyond this turn around the corner. There's also a hallway to your left and to your right. And both of the side hallways, you could hear this chanting, this guttural growling, and it was a foreign language to all of you, but it seemed to have a rhythm to it, a beat, I guess. Mornak, you found yourself eventually just subconsciously humming this and kind of going to the beat yourself, almost as if it was drawing you in, or sort of you feel okay and your mind's all there and everything, but you just compelled to just kind of go with the beat of this song, basically. Just a bad song that's stuck in your head. You also found two letters in there. One was addressed to Mistress Insidious and basically mentioned that they're going to have an ultimate sacrifice and that the man of the house would learn his lesson. And this was addressed to Mistress Insidious from somebody calling themselves Mother. Mornak, again, you would recognize the name of Mother and who that was. I think you mentioned to everybody that it was a hag that once kidnapped you. You were able to escape from, but she always called herself Mother. The other letter was to Lord Gustav Durst, the man of the house, basically ridiculing him and his family and laughing at their plight and their situation of all this, and that all of their sacrifices and their rituals and whatnot really had nothing to do with bringing this person who calls himself Lord Strahd von Zarevich here to this realm. Both of those handouts are in our Facebook chat if you guys need to check them out again. Scroll up and do that. And that is basically where we ended it. As I said, you could hear the two things. I believe you could see them too. They look like humanoid figures moving around in the side hallways.
There is one of those things down the stairs into that other room.
Yep.
And so there was one that was off to the side and one side hallways.
Correct. Yep. So the room that you're in, it's a large, let's see, about 30 by 40 square foot room, this large dining table and made up at the center of it. And you guys came in from behind you, which would actually be leading north and then south into this room. And looking at the table before you, to your left, which would be your west, and to the right, which is going to be the east. But to both to your left and right are these hallways that go down. The one on the left goes down what looks to be a 30-foot flight of stairs down into a darkened room beyond. But you can see something at the base of these stairs scrambling about. It almost sounds like it's moving through some sort of thick muck or water or something like that. You can hear a little bit of splashing or soupy steps. And the one to the right of you, when you look down that, it's quite a ways down, about 50 feet down, just at the edge of your dark vision. It leads into a room. You can see that looks to be pillars in this room beyond. And again, something moving in between the pillars and muttering to itself. It's a real deep, guttural sort of chant that it gives. They both seem to be in unison with one another, the same chant that they're saying, but you can't make out the words. You can't tell if it's just because of their accents or the way they're speaking, or if it's a different language, but you can't quite figure out what they're saying, even though it still has this constant beat, almost like a musical chant. So yeah, I will leave it over to you guys from there as you stand in this room, the darkness all around you. Human remains at your feet on the table, these letters in hand. What do the three of you do?
We'll come back for the maid's remains. We need to find the last child's remains. That's our primary goal here.
Well, I would kind of like to take care of these horrible things shuffling around. I don't want them sneaking up behind us.
Understood.
I think we should also attack these things.
They don't seem to have any interest or don't recognize that you're there. They don't seem to notice you at all. At least not yet.
That could completely change if we step on the wrong thing on the floor, push the wrong sconce on the wall. Then we could be surrounded by horrible things. I just think if we were to try to remove the curse of this horrible place, then it would be good to rid it of all the monstrosities. But if we would rather, but I will leave it up to the group.
No, you're right. It's probably safer to clear the path as we go rather than find ourselves deeper in trouble with no way out.
Well, there's one downstairs in this room down here. Apparently, I can hear it. I saw it moving about in there. I don't really know exactly what type of creature it is.
Perhaps we should consider resting for a bit. I'm running out of spells for the day.
I'll actually, considering I still have mine, and you used yours on me, I will actually hand over my that potion of rejuvenation I have, because somebody else used theirs on me, so I don't need mine right this moment. I don't know if trying to rest in this house is the safest bet.
I don't think I could get any sleep here anyway.
Very well.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the safest place. I mean, there's no doors between these. It's just a matter of this thing wandering up the hallway, and there you are.
So yeah, I'll hand over that potion of rejuvenation to whoever was short one.
Thank you.
Well, should we try to draw it to us?
Well, I can shoot with a crossbow bolt, see if it decides to come up here. If you want to stand by the door, perhaps be ready.
Sounds good to me.
So I'm going to go ahead and make sure my crossbow is loaded, and then I'm going to head over towards the stairs going down and look down there, see if I can see that creature again.
Give me a perception roll with one boon.
One boon. Perception. And my perception is +3. So that's a d20 +3. Oh, okay, that's not very good. I rolled a natural 1, so that's a 5 total.
Peer down this hall as you sort of come around the corner, trying to look into this darkness, the room beyond. You don't see anything. It's dead silence down there, darkness. You don't know if it's wandered off or not, but yeah, you don't see anything at the moment there or hear it.
I wonder if it wised up to us. It's silent. I don't see it anymore. Perhaps we can go after the other one first and come back to this one.
So be it. Just point direction. I'll take the lead on this one.
All right, well, I'll point down the hallway that I heard the other one. I think I saw a glimpse of it down there too.
Yep. If you move over to this, it would be to your right, Mud, and you peer down this hallway. You can still see the creature. It's about 50 feet away or so into this room. You can only see part of the room by the way the hallway is. You can see what looks to be 3 pillars or like support beams in this room beyond. It looks like a fairly large room, but crouched down low to the ground, sort of kneeling. You can see this thing chewing on something that's in its hands. It's back to you.
Not exactly my forte, but I'm going to try to quietly get within range of it.
All right. If you move down these corridor, it's about 10 feet wide. Like I said, about 50 feet long before you would get to the other room. Stepping over a few scattering of bones, some rubble. The walls here are a little bit crumbling away. It looks like this place is pretty ancient. Give me a stealth check with 1 bane. Or I guess an agility.
Profession-wise, I have Hunter
All right. Cancel out that Bane then and give me an agility roll.
That's a natural too.
Beautiful. Step down to this corridor. You're pretty sure you're being really silent as you watching Vasily and Mornak. He trips over a few bits of rubble, kicks a bone across the floor. Not quite the hunter extraordinaire that he thought he was. You can get about halfway down before you see this thing stop whatever it's doing in front of you, Mud. And its head will swivel around. It looks humanoid, at least at one time. Now it just wears this scraps of rags. Its flesh, its skin is really pale white, what you can see of it, and just littered with scars and bite marks. It doesn't bleed, even though it has open wounds across its body. Its face is sunken in quite a bit, almost skeletal-like. Its frame very thin. Its eyes are this milky, putrid yellow sort of color. Seem to glow in the darkness a little bit as it stares down this hallway, locking eyes with you. And it'll move slowly. You would expect it maybe to lash out or run down this corridor or something towards you, but it crawls, animal, very feral-like, across the ground slowly towards you. All the while, you can hear this chant, this whatever it's saying, and as it gets a little bit closer, you begin to hear it. He is the ancient. He is the land. He is the ancient. He is the land. It just keeps saying this over and over as it crawls towards you across the floor, sort of animalistic, like across the ground on all fours.
And as it approaches, I'm going to kind of try to walk back, step back slowly, keeping my eyes on it to try to draw it within range of everybody else. And if it gets too close, I'm going to take a swing at it.
It stays about, it'll come to about 10 feet or so, but it moves with you as you move into this room, staying about 10 feet away from you. All the while, its chant gets louder and louder and louder. As it gets to this edge of the, you can walk back into the room, but as it gets to the doorway of this room, it'll suddenly just break out and run towards you. I will let you have one action before we roll initiative. What do you do?
You know what? If it's just going to spring, I got to find my other paperwork. Isn't there a like defend or dodge action?
Defend, yeah.
Defend, yeah. So I'm going to, with my flail, just bring my shield up and prepare to take the attack.
All right. Let's see. In that case, it'll rush forward as it comes into this room. Vasily, Mornak, you both see it as well as it comes in. This disgusting sort of creature. You will all recognize it as some sort of undead creature. Its teeth have grown out into these long, heavy fangs, yellowed. Some of them gnawed down as it's chewed on bones for all these years. And it looks starved. All the while, it seems to chant these words. He is the ancient. He is the land. To the point where it's just screaming these words as it rushes forward. It'll slam itself against your shield, trying to get around it, these yellowing claws trying to tear at you, but it does not reach you. With that, who would like to go fast?
I'm going to go fast.
Gotcha.
I am going to go fast as well.
Gotcha.
I'm going slow.
Mornak is slow. Okay. In that case, Vasily, you are up first. This thing would be probably like 10 feet away from you or so. Mud's ahead of you, shopping us.
I'm just going to raise my crossbow and try to shoot it right in the head.
Go for it. What do we got for defense? Is 15.
Dude, this is a finesse weapon, so I have +1.
As you go to fire, you'll see the tip of your bolt kind of frost up, and you get a boon to that attack.
Ooh. So let me add a boon prayer. So that's a total of 23.
That is definitely a hit.
Let's see. I suppose I just get real dice. That's a total of 6 damage. I don't think a crossbow does anything on 20 plus.
I don't believe so. Usually there are abilities that do, but I don't believe so.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm really sorry to have to do this. My wife's having an emergency. I gotta drop out.
Okay, no worries, man.
Oh, I hope she's okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Gotcha. I will cover for him for now. Yes, this bolt will tear into the side of this thing, and you'll see it just puncture into this flesh with this dull-sounding thud, almost sort of a sickening squelch as it does so, and it'll rip free the back side of this, and it's just rotting old flesh that seems to fall off this thing. Definitely undead creatures of some sort. And as it flails at you, Mud, and you have your shield up, as you move it a little bit, and you can see this holy symbol you have tattooed on your neck, this snowflake sort of thing. You'll see it screech back a little bit and put its hands up, almost in a defensive sort of nature. You are up, Mud.
As it screeches, I'll lift the shield a little bit and bring my flail around. Damn, 10.
Not quite. Actually, you're going to have one boon to this thing, so add a boon.
Oh.
Because of the might help you.
11.
Nope. Flail backs away quickly, almost in fear of this symbol that you wield. Your mace or your flail misses it for the moment, but it cowers back a little bit. Let's see. Mornak is up. He doesn't really have any spells or anything, but he will make a staff attack at least. You'll see him come around the side of you, Mud Mornak, as he holds his staff almost like a bat and just cracks this thing back the side of the skull. And you see it slump forward a little bit, down on all four once again. Basically this big dent in the back of its skull. And with that, it will screech out once more towards you. It seems almost focused on you, Mud, like it seems to be afraid of this holy symbol or your priestly abilities or powers, and it recognizes you for what you are. It doesn't even really acknowledge Mornak, who's hitting it with a staff, or Vasily punching it with arrows. It just wants to get rid of you. And it'll scramble oddly fast around the floor, kicking bones, things out of the way. For just this brief second, you see it reach down as it rushes forward, picking up a piece of this shattered bone on the ground. You can feel it as it plunges this deep into your thigh and just rips this bone free, almost like a shiv. 6 points of damage, Mud. And with this extra sight of blood, this thing just goes into an absolute frenzy, its teeth gnashing as it screeches out in hunger. Unfortunately, I had above a 20 plus, so you were going to be bleeding.
Oh, no.
It means at the beginning of your turn, roll a 1d6 and you take bleed out damage of whatever that might be.
Okay.
And that would be the end of the round. Who would like to go fast or slow?
I'm going to go slow.
Like I say, and keep Mornak. I can go fast because he's right there, actually.
I am going to go fast.
All right. In that case, let me make Mornak's roll as he just continues to swing at this thing. You can see it's running around you, Mud, trying to stab at you with this bone shiv that it has. Its teeth gnashing as it tries to get to this exposed flesh, this blood that's dripping down your leg. Mornak swings wildly, not able to connect with this thing as it's very feral-like and animal-like as it scurries about on the ground. You are up, Mud.
Yeah, I am.
Take 1d6 bleeding damage.
Oh, 6. Ouch.
Are you down?
No, I'm still good.
Oh.
So actually, in response to being stabbed and bleeding, the holy symbol is going to flare, and all the moisture around me is just going to kind of freeze and push itself out. That's Wrath of Winter. The creature needs to make a strength challenge roll or take 1d6 damage.
Oh, I fail that miserably. So what damage? You can roll.
4.
4.
And that heals me my healing rate.
Well, if you've been healed by anything, then that bleeding condition is gone. So you can wipe that off if you know to. Let's see. This thing is going to go fast since it's in a bit of a frenzy, and this continue just to lash out at you. I got over a 20 again. I got 22.
Oh,
Only 1 point of damage, but again, you are bleeding.
bleeding again. All right.
And that's done. Vasily, you are up. As you see this thing, it's screaming out these words, flailing about, trying to get at the exposed flesh of Mud. And you can hear it's faint right now, but it's getting closer and closer. This one that seems to be in the stairwell has noticed something going on. You can hear its words, it's chanting, getting closer.
All right, I'm just gonna aim at his head and try to shoot him.
Go for it.
So that's a 15.
I think once again you'll see a couple of the snowflakes coming off of me after the Wrath of Winter and send a prayer your way for a boon.
Okay. So a total of 16.
That is a hit, yes. Damage.
Okay. Let me give you damage. Total of 5 damage.
This thing will scrabble up. You can see it scurry forward once more, this bone-like shiv in its hand. And you can see that it's got an exposed area on Bud as he's trying to stop this bleeding. And it looks like it's going to bury the shiv right into the back of his neck, right down through his collarbone. Then you hear the sickening thud and this splatters. This thing slumps forward in front of you, Mud. This bolt in the back of its skull. It'll sit on the ground. It twitches, its muscles spasming, this thick black-like ichor just spilling from its body. And then it stops moving. Behind you, Vasily, you see another one come up out of this hallway, the stairwell. And again, it's just mumbling these words. He is the ancient. He is the land. And it's like a scream coming out of this thing's mouth. And it too will just rush towards. You would be the closest one, Vasily, so unfortunately it rushes towards you. Ooh, 16. I don't remember what your defense is.
Oh, yeah, that hits. My defense is 12.
All right. 2 plus 3 is 5 points of damage. Vasily, as this thing jumps up, wraps its hands sort of around your chest, jumps up on your back. You can feel these needle-like teeth sink into your collarbone. This bit of flesh as it starts to rip free. And once more, with the sight of blood, this feeding frenzy overcomes it, and it just starts flailing about. That'll be the end of the round. Mornek's going to have to go slow to get over there to help you because he doesn't have a ranged. So we'd like to go fast or slow.
About how far is this one from me?
What's that?
How far is this new one from me?
About 10 feet.
All right. I guess I'll go slow. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Vasily, fast, slow. It's right on you, so.
Can I use my crossbow as a bludgeoning thing to hit it in the face?
Sir, why not?
Okay. So I'm gonna go fast and just use my crossbow, the butt of my crossbow, to try to smash its face in.
Alrighty. Let's just go with 1d6 damage if you hit. And go ahead.
All right, so I'm just gonna wheel my crossbow around, just try to smash it right in the face. And that's just gonna be a 1.
It does not. This thing scrabbles around. It's almost like this spidery monkey thing. As it crawls around your body, its claws digging into your flesh, teeth crawling over top of you. And it's going to go fast since it already has you right there. That would be a 25. Rolling beautiful tonight. Only 2 damage, but you are bleeding, Vasily.
Okay.
Mornak's going to move and then take a swing at this thing, and he will definitely hit. So you see Mornak in the corner of your eye, Vasily, rush forward, kind of shoves his staff in between the two of you and gives it a wrench as he rips this thing off of you. Its claws, its teeth will scrape across you, but he's got it off of you for the moment as it scrabbles to the ground, down on all 4, just growling at you, muttering these words. And let's see, Mornak event. So Mud, you are up.
So is this thing now disengaged?
Yes. From Steely.
In that case, I was going to start stepping forward, but instead I'll reach my hand out and cast just a swirling vortex of ice and cold at the creature.
Right.
You get the attempted agility challenge roll for half damage.
Let's see what we got. 10. That will be a success. So it's half damage.
Yeah, so half of 8 is 4. And the ground in between the creature and me has now become difficult terrain because of the ice and
Okay.
element.
Gotcha. Everybody's up. So end of the round. Let's see, I'm going to put Mornak going fast since he's right there and can take a swipe at this thing. So, Sealy Mud, what would you guys like to do?
I'm going to go slow.
Really slow. Gotcha.
I am going to... I am going to have to go slow as well.
Gotcha. All right. Mornak will take a swing once more and definitely hit again. As he seems to just continually berate this thing and batter it with his staff. This time as it comes back, he just jabs forward, and this is sickening squelch as the end of the staff sticks through its eye sockets and deep into its head. It'll rear back, holding at its face, this ichor just sliding down the side of its face. It is going fast, so let's see. Actually, when he hits this thing, you see it rear back. It's chanting, screaming, and you get the sense that it's starting to crawl away. It starts to back up slowly away from you, Vasily, Mud. If either of you would like to take a triggered attack on it, you can.
I will.
Oh, absolutely.
Go for it.
And as a matter of fact, I'll make sure to ice over my flail as it swings. Another prayer. Roll a 6 on the boom, a 1 on the die.
It does not. As you flail this thing, it jumps back, quickly turns, and begins to look like it's getting ready to run down this hallway from where it came. It's getting this louder screeching and screaming. Vasily, if you would like to make a triggered attack, you may.
I rolled a 20, and I did 6 damage.
You will definitely take it out. Once more, as it turns, it gets a few steps away as your bolt goes to the back of its skull, and it too slumps forward onto the ground, its body twitching.
And with my action, I'm going. I'll take my damage, my bleed damage. Shard. Okay, I'm at 2. Oh, I'm dead. I'm at 0 with the bleed damage. So I just dropped dead. I dropped down to the ground.
This bolts into the back of its head, Mud, and then Vasily drops to the ground. His blood just pours from his shoulder across the ground. Yeah, I can give Mornak, and at least he has a healing kit, so let me see if he can get you set up. Not the one time that I roll horribly. So no, Mornak goes over trying to bind your wounds the best he can with his kits, but he seems the elf isn't much skilled in the way of medicine. He looks over at you.
I'll
My
actually-
hand is gesturing towards my pouch with my potions.
See, you know what? Having seen him pull potions out of there before, I'll kind of open his pouch up and find one that looks like one of the healing potions he gave me earlier, and pour it down.
You see that one that looks like one I gave you earlier, and that restoration potion.
Okay. I think Mud would probably go for the restoration potion.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mud would probably sit down and take one of his own regular healing potions.
All is quiet in this room, Chet. You don't hear the chanting anymore. Or actually, you do. It seems to be very far off, echoing across these corridors, these old stones. You can definitely hear chanting off into the distance.
Does it sound like many voices, or?
It comes from the southern corridor that kind of leads down and around a corner. You haven't looked down there far enough to see what exactly it leads to, but it comes from that way. But it seems pretty far off, or from a distance anyway, not anywhere close.
So does that restoration potion heal me all the way up, or how much does
It
it do?
heals you all the way up and refreshes all of your spells and everything like that.
Okay.
Yep. You are a new fawn.
Hey. I was down to practically no spells anyway.
That's kind of what I figured when you started beating somebody with a crossbow.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Did you say if the chanting, if I could tell if it's one voice or multiple, or?
Sounds like multiple.
So what's in this room where we're at?
You're still in the same dining room area.
Oh, okay.
It followed Mud here, so you haven't left that area. The chanting and stuff you can hear comes from the southern corridor straight ahead, which kind of go down a little ways and turns around the corner. You haven't went to see exactly where it leads, but it sounds pretty far off still.
Well, we can search around some more here and see if there's anything worth keeping, or we can just go after this chanting.
Yeah. The quicker we get out of here at this point.
Yeah, I think everything is so rotten and falling apart in here. There's nothing that's going to be worth of anything anyway.
Yeah, this
And
place.
who knows what that chanting is?
Yeah, we should investigate the chanting and try to find Walter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Try to find Walter's remains. Do what we need to do and leave this place. And with that, I guess I'll start heading down the southern corridor, somewhat quietly.
The best that Mud can do anyway. As you pass by, you can look down this hallway that would lead off to your left, or the right, I'm sorry, where these room they have like the pillars and stuff. And as you pass by that, where you originally went and drew in this one towards you, Mud, it looks to be pretty much just a sort of large room, beds around it. It looked like it was an old bed chamber or something, but it's just empty now, besides these old beds that are rotted away. You don't see any more of these creatures. And as you move down the southern corridor, you turn around a small couple corners, turns off to your left and then your right, starts to like this long straight hallway. But to your left, you'll see a hallway, and it too goes back into the same room that you would have led the stairs that go down. You can get the sense that you're sort of at a slight incline in the hallway. It's not a stairwell, but it slowly inclines downward. And as you pass by this room and look over into it, it's the same one that the stairwell went to as well. They both come across into the same room. It's pitch black in there except for this glowing white orb that hangs off the ceiling. You can see chains dangle from the ceiling. Looks like skeletal remains hang from them. And you see this figure that stands in the middle of the room, quite imposing looking. This heavy black cloak that flows off of it seems to below, even though there's no wind or anything, it flaps behind it a little bit, and this massive wolf beside it. This figure has its hand on the wolf's head, and it just stands there silently, brooding, but looking in your direction. Straight ahead of you is a stairwell that leads down.
I'm just gonna stare back. Does it look like the same wolf from earlier? The big, like a overgrown dire.
Yeah, it's definitely like a dire wolf, a big, yes. Not sure if it's supposed to be the same one, but it definitely has the same features. They don't move. They don't do anything besides just watch this flowing cape off of his shoulders flapping behind him.
Is he alive? Is it living? Or undead? Or
Can't tell. It doesn't move.
I mean, it doesn't look like a statue. It looks like it's made out of flesh or something.
Give me a perception.
Okay. My perception is +3. That's a 12.
From where you're at, it looks real, but there's something odd about it. Would you like to take a few steps closer?
No, I'm going to look around on the ground, see if there's any debris or anything.
Oh, yeah, there's crumbling stones and stuff like that all over. Bones.
I'm just going to grab a little debris or something and roll it on the ground towards it.
It'll bounce across these old cobblestones up to this figure's boot, sort of bounce off. Sounds like stone on stone. You get the sense that it's a very well done statue or artistic piece of some sort. It's weird that this cape seems to flap behind it, but beyond that, it doesn't make any move or do anything more.
I'm going to move around the edges of the room, still facing it. I'm just going to look to see if there's trying to feel if there's wind blowing in any direction that's causing it to flap, or if it's just something uncanny.
Let's just step in and sort of slide along the wall. Its eyes will seem to sort of follow you, but the figure itself does not move. You notice that the fur on this wolf doesn't move. And it just stands there, even though you get the sense that it's watching, but it doesn't seem to be living. There is no wind in this room that you can feel anyway.
Was there another door in the room?
No, there is not. It's just this room and then the two hallways that convene into this room, but there's no other doors or anything.
What is that light? It's unnatural.
Yes, it looks almost like a moon. The moon you would know, a pale white moon that hangs at the ceiling. It's a domed ceiling that goes up about 30 feet, and it's right in the center. And it casts this eerie, like a full moon sort of glow across this room, but still seems to be shadowy and unnatural.
Now, when going through the house, we didn't see anything that would, that would be exposed to the outside, right?
Nope.
Well, that's unusual.
There are many unusual things about this house. I'll take a look at the statue. Are there any engravings or any placards or?
As you move up to this thing, you can see it's not necessarily so much a statue as it seems to be like a taxidermied. Sort of the wolf itself looks taxidermied. It has real fur that seems to go over it. But its feet and the lower portions of it where it's on the ground seem to be cast over with some sort of stone or something hardening material. So it's been able to stand here. Same thing with this figure. It's dressed in very noble like clothes, even though now it's just completely in tatters. But at one time it was beautiful, nobility sort of clothes. The face is nothing more than old rotting flesh when you get closer, or skin, hide. But it looks like a corpse or of a man that was taxidermied. It is this black cloak that wraps around it and sort of continues to flow unnaturally. You get the sense there must be something supernatural about that. And this just stands staring at you. There's no inscriptions, there's nothing to say what it is or what it was. Its eyes, you probably would be familiar with at least some taxidermy stuff. They're just marble, but they definitely seem to watch you. You just get this really eerie goosebumps across your skin and the hair on the back of you, and it's the sixth sense that it sees you.
So what else is in this room? Is there just like a lot of debris and
Yeah,
wreckage?
besides that, it's just debris scattered about the floor. There's a few little puddles of water here and there, and just a couple pillars or beams holding up the ceiling. But that's it. Just this thing, and that's it.
And the only way into this room is the way that we came.
Yep, they could go back up the stairs, back into the dining room, or back out the hallway you just came into to the back hallway that would lead downstairs eventually.
I will grab the cloak and kind of tear at it, try to pull it off the.
Give me a strength challenge roll, please.
14.
14. Reach out, and just before you touch this, it just crackles with electrical energy down the base of it. You get the sense you probably don't want to touch this thing. You still can if you would like, but
I'm just going to start searching the room, searching around the edges of the room.
give me a perception check, please. With, are you taking your time?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a boon with it.
So it's a 21.
Move around just behind this figure. You can see a couple. It looks almost like something was mudded over, or like a false wall was put up. You can push a few stones out of the way, and there's a small crawl space that goes in a couple feet, and then it goes to a tunnel that leads upwards about 10 feet, and then there's a hatch in the ceiling.
Oh. I don't want to go back up. So I'll tell the group. I found this hatch over here. I found this hidden pathway over here. It looks like there's a hatch going up. It seems like we want to go down. Do I hear the voices coming from there?
Nope. You'd hear them from back in the hallway you came from, and down below, one more floor below you. Up above, it's just silence if you listen at the hatch. Or
maybe this is a way out of here that we can keep track of.
Should we take a glance through before we move forward?
Sure. I'll go in there. And is there stairs or
sort of a makeshift ladder into the wall, like little handholds or whatever, easy to climb up. And if you give this a few pushes, it looks like it hasn't been opened for probably centuries at this point, but it'll eventually push up. And if you peek through, it opens up into the room, the first floor. Actually, the first room we looked into, it looks to be some sort of maybe like a den of some sort. You can see these taxidermied wolves lining the walls, a large sofa chair. It was right up.
The one that I heard sounds coming from, I looked in, there wasn't anything
Yep.
in there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, this looks like if we can keep track of this room, it looks like there might be a fast way out towards the front of the building. This goes back up towards where we came in.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. I guess let's keep going towards the Channing. And I'm just going to take another glance at that cloak before I turn around and walk away.
It's quite beautiful. Very well tailored. Looks like it'd keep you warm if you weren't electrocuted by it. Move back out into this hallway. The stairs go down about 10 feet, turn a corner, and then go down to the floor below you. From there, you can hear the chanting that seems to be echoing up through the hallway. But, it goes down. If you follow down and around, it does come to a heavy wooden door. On the other side, again, it doesn't sound like the chanting is close, but it's definitely down where you're headed.
Well, let's just keep heading down that way. I'm going to be very careful heading down that way, looking for any pitfalls or anything.
Give me a perception challenge roll.
And while he's looking around for that, I'd like to also look to see if there's any semi-fresh tracks or anything.
Where you're at, yeah, you can see like the barefooted talon marks of these creatures that you killed scattered about, but they're pretty much everywhere you look. You don't see any more on this level or hear any more on this level that you're at. It doesn't look like it was, just recently or whatever, but I mean, they're scattered about everywhere.
So that's a 22.
Nice. You do find a few what look to be Sith traps or things in the walls, spear traps and stuff. Everything's been triggered from a long time ago, and you find a few levers and odds and ends that would certainly were there to injure people, but they've all been sprung. Look quite old and rotted away and disarmed.
I'm still going to point them out to the groups. These are traps that somebody's already sprung, but still I think it'd be a good idea to keep an eye on them. And I'll just keep moving down the hall.
You will step down these stairs, and the heavy wooden door ahead of you, it seems to be hanging open just a little bit to give it a good push, and it'll slide open. Let's see. The room that it steps into, you go down these about another 10 foot worth of step, turn the corner yet again, and down another 10 feet of steps. All in total, almost 40 feet further down into the ground you went. And this door slides open and opens up into this room. There's alcoves stocked with sorts of grisly trophies. A severed finger in a glass jar sits on a shelf. A mummified hand, quite small. Doesn't look childish, though. It looks like a small, maybe a halfling or something. You see the shrunken head of an orc and more. The chanting you can hear in the distance has now gotten louder and louder, and it sounds almost like a song. The walls seem to reverberate this thing. The stones seem to vibrate a little bit. He is the ancient. He is the land. Again, it just chants over and over and over. Directly ahead of you, there's two hallways. They're sort of off to the right. One has a heavy iron portcullis that blocks it. The other one leads down this long, straight hallway, and you can see it branches off in a whole bunch of little rooms to the side. In the center of the hallway, you can see a man crouched sort of amongst the rubbles and ruins.
Which direction was that?
As you stand in the doorway, it would be to your right, to the south technically, but there's two different hallways. One has this heavy iron portcullis, and the other one's just a hallway that goes down into a whole bunch of little rooms off to the sides where this man just sits on the floor.
Does it look like he's moving at all? Like he's alive?
Yeah.
While
Is he breathing? Or
good.
This is back, well, sort of up against the stone. It doesn't look like he's really noticed you yet or done anything, but just sits there. Looks like he's doing something with like stones or bones or something in front of him on the floor. Quite grimy looking, pale skinned. Looks like filth. He does have some gear next to him, at least sitting on the ground.
I'm going to load my crossbow.
Is this, does it look like one of the things we've already seen?
It's hard to say. It's pale skinned and hairy and dirty. Looks like it's been here for quite a long time. It doesn't, you can't really see its facial features or details from where you're at. It hasn't noticed you yet, though.
What do you say? Should we approach?
Well, there's no way we're going to get that iron gate up without him hearing us. That might be our only path at this stage.
From where you're at, he would be 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 20. about 40 feet away.
Well, I'm going to walk closer towards him with my crossbow ready. You there, you be friend or foe?
See down this hallway, and it'll look in your direction. What does it say?
Friend or foe? I don't think in this place that matters anymore. And he just kind of keeps looking down, like he looks at your direction and just looks back down and just keeps smashing rocks into bones, just grinding them into dust, just kind of ignoring you.
What are you doing here? This is a place of horrible evil.
And he kind of giggles at that, actually. And he says, you have no idea what is here. And he just kind of looks up a little bit, like kind of like almost thinking, and he goes, what am I doing here? What did I come here for again?
You say I have no idea.
It's been so long I don't remember.
You say I have no idea what is here. Well, enlighten me.
He stands up and he starts to walk towards you, and when he does, you can see that he's wearing armor, just leather armor, and his well, you said 40 feet away, right, Morgan?
You might want to drop your bandwidth or at least turn your camera off because you're a little stuttery. But yeah, you would have all of your gear normally that you have there.
Okay.
Whether you're wearing it or not is totally up to you.
I don't think he would be at this point, so I think he would just be like literally wearing rags. The armor's probably next to him. He would, however, have a massive sword on his back, and he starts slowly approaching you guys. It doesn't look like he's reaching for the sword, but he is slowly starting to walk towards you.
Calm there, friend.
Mud will step up and raise the shield partway, covering both of us, so that way I'm not blocking a shot with the crossbow, but kind of taking up a defensive posture. Easy, friend. Easy.
If you're not one of the horrors that lives here within this decrepit den, then we have a mutual interest in getting out of here.
If you want to hop out and hop back in, Chester, that should reset your bandwidth, and then you should be good. Because every now and then it just cuts you out just in case. That should fix it. Want to do that real quick?
Okay. Yeah, let me do that.
Give him just a quick second, and that should fix that. I can adjust it on my end as well.
Okay. How about now? That better?
Sound good so far.
Here, let me change my bandwidth down to audio only. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So you said
If
what was
you're not one
the
of the
thing you said
horrible,
last?
if you're not one of the horrible denizens that dwells in this decrepit den, then perhaps we have the same goal of escaping, ending the evil of this place, and then getting out of here alive.
And he busts out laughing, and it's like one of those kind of maniacal kind of laughs, and he's like escaping. You don't know how many times I have left this place only to return. How many times adventurers just like you, and he kind of lifts up his hands and points at you three, and has come here trying to end the curse. This curse, if only it would end, it would ease me, but I have a sad, sickening feeling that this curse will never end.
Well, friend, we managed to put to rest two of the spirits of children who've been locked in this place for who knows how long. Their suffering has ended. Who's to say that we cannot do some other good here?
And with that, he seems a little surprised, because, of course, from the way he's been talking, it sounds like he's been here for a very long time, and like he's dealt with multiple people. But so far, no one, and he does kind of relay this to you, that no one has done that before, or at least progressed so far. So
we're not done yet.
There is
the child, Walter. We plan to lay his spirit to rest as well. Do you know where the remains of the child are?
Would I have an inkling on that? You
Morgan?
have definitely heard the name. People have mentioned it, and they all seem to want to do that. Mm-hmm. But trying to remember something, the name's familiar. You remember perhaps you've come across it or something, but yet you don't recall exactly what it is you're looking for.
Remember, okay. I'm actually going to keep walking towards you guys, but then it's almost like he gets so far and then stops. And then he says, if you want me to help you, I will need you to help me. And then he raises up his hand and he actually like punches forward, and you see that he hit something, but there's nothing there. And it's like, I am trapped here. Oh. Now, I can get out, but I need help from something living for me to exit. I have exited before from other adventures, but it never ends well.
What do you need? What help do you need to exit?
He reaches out his hand, quite literally up to the point where he can, and he says, I just need you to grab my hand and pull me across.
I look at the two of my comrades, Mud and Mornak, kind of pensively. I walk forward a little bit, reach my hand forward, grab his hand, and try to pull him forward.
When you do, you can...
And then you hear a buzzer go off and your hand starts to like...
Reach out and you can feel this fawn. It's sort of like a goatish-looking man. Reach out his hand towards you, grasp yours, and give you a pull forward. And once again, this familiar feeling washes over as you step through this barrier that seems to stop you from crossing without the touch of the living hands. And all of you see what looks to be this glass wall in front of you just shatter into shards and disappear in the air like a sparkling of glitter almost around you. There's this dirty, filthy, raggedy-looking man steps through.
Now, Really quick, Morgan, I kind of messed up because I did see I said I left the armor behind. I can go back now and grab the armor and come back through normally, right? Since the glass has been broken, technically.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You'd be able to move back and
Um,
forth as much as you want, at least for now.
Okay. And when he pulls me across, I'm gonna kind of look at the goat person, and I'm gonna like reach out and kind of touch him on the nose and be like, "What are you? I've never in all my years seen something like this. Have I truly gone insane already?" And he's like just lightly tapping you on the nose, not sure what you are.
Just looking at this dirty finger touching me on the nose, I just recoil a little bit. I'm the hand that pulled you free. That's all you need to know.
I truly must be mad already. And with that, he turns around and he walks back towards where his armor is, and he starts to put it on.
What is further down this hallway? Do you know?
In mid sentence, as he's like put.
Go ahead.
Was that a question to me or to? Okay. Well, as he starts to put on the armor, he kind of stops and he's looking up in the air, like trying to remember. And he says, "Honestly, it's been over 20 years since I left this small corner. I honestly don't remember."
How long have you been here?
I am not sure. It seems like,
well, to tell you the truth, I don't really want to go.
There for moments it seems like.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To tell you the truth, I don't really want to go down that way. If he's trapped in there behind some sort of magical barrier, I'm kind of pensive that barrier might reform. Let's go back to the other way where the portcullis was at.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents anyway.
I agree. I can try to open that.
Oh, Morgan, was I able to recover my bolts that I had used before?
On the ghouls, yeah, they would have been perfectly fine right there because you nailed them in the head. So yeah.
I actually meant to mention this earlier. When we do walk back into the main room, I'm going to take a look at that finger in the jar and look at my hand that is now missing a finger and put that jar in my pocket.
Put a nicely preserved finger in a jar onto your inventory.
Do we see any
It's almost as bad as the
any levers or anything to open this gate, or is it?
So as you step over to where this portcullis is and look into it, it looks into a room filled with water. You can't tell how deep it is. It's just thick, sludgy, black, muddy water. All the way up to the steps to where you stand above. You can see the steps disappear down into this ichor, as well as the gate. On the other side, about 10 feet in front of you, because it's a hallway that goes down about 10 feet and then opens up into this room, you can see a lever that would go to this thing. On this side of the room, there is not a lever. Inside that room, besides this water that seems to take up most of it, you can see that there is a balcony that wraps around it. It's quite a large room, from what you can tell, about 60 foot by 60 foot. There's a balcony that walks all the way around the outside perimeter of this room, and the whole center of it is this impression where this large pool is. In the very center is a dais. It looks to be some sort of altar of sorts. It's just barely at the edge of your dark vision, so you can't quite make out what it is or whatever. But you can definitely see something in the center of this room, a large pedestal that goes up towards the ceiling. And the chanting seems to be coming from this room, but it sounds like it's up higher than what you can see, like up above the ceiling or something like that.
I'm going to walk around this room with all these things in the alcoves And I'm going to cast Sense Magic. Just walking around, see if any of these give off any magical auras.
Everything in this room looks to be rather mundane. It's odds and trinkets and oddities like the fingers and the shrunken heads and preserved small little like signet rings and odds and ends. So in this room, no, but you get a very, very overwhelming sense of alteration and necromancy from the room beyond.
Okay. Is there anything that looks interesting to take from any of these things that's not an appendage? Anything that might be worth something?
As you stumble through, there's a very fancy looking bullseye lantern. There's a torturer's toolkit. There is 4 vials of some sort of purplish colored liquid. You're not quite sure what they are. And there is 3 scroll cases that are hung by little pieces of leather strapping hanging off the ceiling.
All right, well, I'm going to take those things.
If you pop the caps on these little scroll cases, each one has some sort of parchment that's rolled up, and just a quick look shows that they're incantations or scrolls of some sort. But it's going to take you time to actually see and decipher what they are. But
yeah, all right, I'm going to tuck those into my backpack. I'm just going to pop open the lid on one of those vials and very carefully sniff at it.
Give me a perception challenge roll with, I'm going to say, 3 boons.
Ooh. Okay, that's 16 without the boon. 16 as 22.
Just a whiff of these things seems to wake you up a little bit. It causes you to feel a little bit anxious, energized, full of energy. They are alertness potions.
Oh, okay.
Which are in the Demon Lord book. I think they give you boons on perception checks for 2d6 hours.
All right. They all seem to be that?
Yep.
All right. I hand one out to everyone.
They're basically really strong energy shots.
Ooh, monster drinks.
When you hand one to me, like I just kind of look at it and not sure what to do with it, honestly. Like it's been so long, like he's just like not even sure, and he's just like okay, and he slides it on a pouch that he has.
Just save it for the right moment.
So do we want to try to go through this gate? Really sounds like they're close.
I think this is where our path leads.
I'm going to drop my shield and my flail and grab the gate and try to force it open.
Give me a strength challenge roll with 1 bane.
13.
Bend down and give this thing a wrench. It's significantly heavy, but it's definitely old, and seems like the gears have given way a little bit and doesn't quite hold it down as strong as it should anymore. A few hefts, and he can get it up about 4 or 5 feet before it jams into place and doesn't really want to move anymore up or down. Just kind of stuck where you slammed it into place. The water kind of ripples forward across this room, and then just silence. It was chanting before, but now it's just silence.
I'm sorry. There was a one potion. It was a perception potion.
Alertness potion.
Alertness potion. And
We have the element of surprise anymore.
3 incantations. And what was the other thing that I found?
There's a bullseye lantern, very nice looking one, and a torturer's toolkit.
Torturer's toolkit.
I'm gonna try to work my way a little closer, a little more into the room. Try to get a little closer to the altar without completely coming in.
You can move forward about 10 feet before you would be into the entire room proper. So you step in. The water is quite shallow here, but you can see it gets deeper as you move into the room. But this black, swampy, smelling sort of water laps hungrily at your ankles. You can sense ripples throughout the black surface of this as it ripples into the room. And all is quiet. Everything. You don't hear the echo of this chanting. Don't even hear the chanting. A ledge walks around the entire perimeter of this chamber, and it seems to overlook this dais that rises in the very center of it. Chains suspend from the ceiling swing above. As you look, this dais that's in the center, and your eyes adjust to the murkiness and the darkness that's down here. It's an altar of some sort, covered in thick, crusted, dried blood, and it has carvings that look like some sort of creatures crawling up the side of it. The very top of this thing, you can see what looks to be a small, bundled, like a fabric or something that the resting at the top of it's all bundled up.
With my background of my magic academic background, I'm just going to start examining everything, see if there's runes, incantations, whatever that may be here to try to give me some idea of what this is.
Do you want to go over to the altar or just look at it from where you're at? Or
I'm going to go around to the outside of the altar area. It's on a dais, right?
Yep, so it's in the center of the room, but there's this walkway that walks all the way around it. So it's about 10 feet that walks all the way around.
We got to go. If there's anybody up on the ledge, we got to go with him.
Through the water, yeah. You got it. But as you walk around the outside of the perimeter of this walkway, you step into this room. Again, it's about 60 foot square, but it's sort of oblong shaped. This walkway that's been carved into the stonework all the way around the outside looks as if it's a ledge where people would watch and sacrifices or whatever was going on in the center of the room, sort of a audience walkway. The walls are depicted with all sorts of undead creatures, Vasily, ghouls, skeletons, zombies, vampires, wraiths, banshees, all convening. Looks like they're crawling up the wall, and it goes all the way up to the ceiling that's sort of arched a little bit, all the way up to the very top of it. So it looks as if they're crawling up the walls. And the same thing with the center dais, as if they're crawling up the top of it to the very top where this bundle sits. There are 8 alcoves carved into the ceiling around you. And as you look up at these, they look like nobility positions or where people of power would watch over everything below. Very good seats at an opera house, per se. As you look at the one that's directly above you, you can see this black, cloaked, manifesting, shadowy figure appear. And then one on the second, third, and then all the way around the room. All 8 of these little alcoves are filled with this dark, shadowy, black sort of figure. Heads, cowls pulled up as they look down at the center of this room where this bundle lays wrapped at the top of the altar. And then they begin to chant, "One must die. One must die. One must die." You can hear this slam into the distance as the portcullis comes crashing down once again.
Is it possible? Like, how big is that bundle?
Looks
That's
small.
on top of the altar.
Maybe a foot in length, of just a bundled up wrap of some sort. Vasily and Mud, you guys can kind of get the sense that it's about the size of an infant's bundle.
Yeah. I don't think, like, I know I heard the name Walter before, but I don't think I would know that Walter is a child.
Probably not.
Right.
This seems very familiar to you. You get that sense of deja vu, and the shiver runs up your spine like something bad is about to happen, but you don't know why this feels this way.
Okay. I'm gonna mention that something bad is going to happen, but I'm not sure what. I don't remember. I've been through this many times, but it's been so long. And with that, like, he's reaching on his back and like pulling off his bastard sword and just kind of getting in that ready position, but not like doing anything aggressive yet.
You all could feel this cold as it dances up your spine. And each one of these figures, these shadowy.
Actually, I am going to make.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention something else. Should we? They're chanting "One must die." Should we try to remove said bundle off of the sacrificial altar?
Well, we haven't gotten up there yet. We're just walking around the edges, around the. There was like a 10-foot walkway around this edge. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah, we're still walking around that.
You will see all 8 of these figures point these long skeletal fingers into the center of the room. Their chant getting louder. One must die. One must die.
I think they want one of us to die.
That, or they are trying to kill. Well, I'm pretty sure it's already dead, but I don't know. I don't remember. And
stay out of sight while you can. I need to get that child or the remains, and I'll walk towards the dais.
The water is cold, very, very cold. Well, it probably doesn't bother you too much since you're a priest of the cold, but it's thick, a bit soupier than what water should feel like, and it smells rancid, death, and decay. This skim, this sludge that skims the top of the water sticks to you like almost like a slug sort of slime. You make your way across. It's a little over waist high on you, coming up to maybe your belly button or so, as you step through the water slowly towards this dais. Are you just headed right up to it, or?
Have they stopped chanting, or are they?
Nope, they all just continue to point and continue to chant, "One must die." You get closer to this altar that's in the center, and it's an octagonal shape carved out, steps upon steps upon steps, all the way up to the top. It stretches up about 15 feet, or 15 steps up to the very top. And every step is carved with these ghouls in wretched forms crawling their way up the dais to the very top. The chains that hang far above you, over top of this thing, you can still see some have skeletal hands and bones. Looks like people were chained up there and sacrificed.
Yeah, I'll step up the dais, and first I'll look towards the bundle and see if it's actually the remains.
It is all wrapped up, coddled like an infant would be. There are bones in it, yes.
I'll look up to the 8. Hasn't there been enough death here?
Just continue to chant, "One must die." Over
Well,
and over and over.
we still had one of those horrible things. We could kill it up on the altar, but we don't have anything else to kill, to offer up instead.
Vasily and Victor, they point, you can see Mud at the top of this altar looking at this small bundle as they all point now basically at him and chant, "One must die. One must die." Both of you give me will challenge rolls, please.
I do that with one Bane. What was my will?
Remind me again, it's your will, just whatever is above 10, that's like the plus,
Yep.
right? So 11 would be +1.
Yep.
So that's a 5 for me.
All right.
I got an epic 6. One better.
6. So both of you look at these figures chanting this. You see Mud at the top of this altar and their chants that one must die. And you get the sense that if you're ever going to make it free from this place, not be trapped here and not die like everybody else, somebody's going to have to die. And there's only one person that's sitting upon the altar now. And that crosses your mind, even though you don't want it to. You try to maybe shut it off or ignore it. But yes, Bud would make the perfect sacrifice and ensure your survival. Seems easy enough, Vasily. A simple bolt into the back of his head. He wouldn't expect that from you. Or Victor, just maybe hurling him off this dais into the waters. It's quite a drop. He could easily break his neck. What do the two of you do?
Do we feel compelled to do these things, or we just have
You just
these
have
bad
these
thoughts?
bad thoughts. You get these visions in your head. You're not compelled to do it, but it's quite.
Okay.
Mud, let's get out of here. The horrible thoughts are being whispered in my mind.
I'm going to reach down for the bundle
And do what?
and pick it up.
Can I try?
If nothing stops me, I'm going to pick it up and try to turn and head back towards the portcullis.
They all continue to chant.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can I try to
Go ahead.
open the portcullis?
Sure. As you run over to this portcullis and prepare to try and lift it up, Vasily, you sort of look around, these thoughts overwhelming you a little bit. You can feel your fawn knees shake a little bit and this fear that starts to wash over you a little. Fawns really ain't built for this sort of thing, you think. Well, you grab this bundle of bones, wrap it up, and hold it tight as you take your steps down this dais. As you do so, with each step, these things, these specters above you chant louder and louder. And as your foot touches the third step from the base where this water is, the whole water begins to tremble and ripple. Victor, as you run over, give me a strength challenge roll to lift this portcullis, but it's with 3 banes.
Awesome. So it's a D6 or 3D6. Take the highest and minus that.
Yep, correct. Yep.
Okay. So 6, 7. So 7 for me.
Reach down and grab a hold of this portcullis. You give it a wrench, and it shifts a little, but doesn't lift up very high. And you grab it and pull up once more, and again, it creaks and groans under your pulling strength, but it doesn't quite give away. All around you, Mud, you feel disgusted. This ichor, this pathetic feeling washes over you. You turn to leave and step down. The shadowy figures hiss, and their cries for a ritual sacrifice turn to words of Lorgoth, we awaken thee. Lorgoth, rise, the Decayer. Rise. And they all lift their hands. This whole chamber quivers and shakes. You can feel dust falling from the ceiling. Mounds of refuse spill from the walls, and you can see old, rotting limbs, decaying bodies start crumbling out from the walls, splattering on the ground into this water. The water itself seems to start bubbling, boiling. You can see steam rising off of it. And then off to your left, Mud, the far southern part of this room where the bodies are spilling forth from walls, a whole section of this wall gives way. And you see this massive, what can only be described as the flesh-like growth, pull itself free from the water, from the wall, and start to move through the sludge. I'll put a picture of it over in the Facebook chat for you all.
While you're doing that, didn't you say that there was a lever in here somewhere?
Yes, there is.
Is that up on the dais or?
Nope, it is over on the northern wall, about 10 feet away from where Victor is trying to open this portcullis.
Oh, I'm going to run over to that and see if I can pull that.
And there's a picture of the thing over in the chat, and it looks like just this massive, slimy, flesh-like growth. And being the closest to it,
that looks like breakfast.
being the closest to it, Mud, you can see a face in the center of this infantile, young, and it screams out for mommy as it sludges forth through the water. In your hand, as you look down at this bundle, it just looks to be maybe old dog bones or some sort of animal, not human of any sorts. And with that, I need everybody to make me a will challenge roll, not to be frightened. Actually, this is horrifying, so you're going to have one bane to that. My bad.
What was that?
One bane to that on top of whatever. I don't know if you have it already, but
yeah, I already have another bane.
So
I actually
that's 13
succeeded.
for me.
okay.
I rolled a 17 minus 5 is 12.
Nice. And what does Mud have?
Oh yeah, with this we just gotta get about 10.
I have a good old 5.
So, Mud, you guys are good, except for Mud, you will be frightened. That means you have a bane on everything you do, 3 banes in anything in relation to this creature.
So as I'm running over to that lever, I'm just going to shout out, Mud, let's try to escape!
This thing is just going to smash its way out of the wall, this pulling itself up from this sludge-like water, this ichor. The water is quite boiling hot as you step into it, Mud. So moving across the room, if you're assuming that's what you're doing, but you're going to take 1 point of damage through the water before you can hit the edge and pull out of it. And this thing is just sliming forth. And as it pulls up to its full height and full girth or size, you can see it's about 10 feet in diameter, probably about 12 to 13 feet high, just this thick, cancerous growth. And it just screams and wails like an infant, crying out for mommy as it slums forth. You can see small arms pulling it across the ground through the water as it wades through towards all of you. All the while, these specters up above continue to chant for Lorgath, and we awaken thee. One must die. Laughter kind of flits through their voices. All right, so go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna kind of ask, like, the party, like, is it possible that the boy's remains are in that creature?
You get the sense that that creature is Walter.
Mm-hmm. And, well, like, yes, we want to run away because this thing is gross and nasty, but if our objective is to, get Walter's remains, then we kind of need to, kill it. So
Well, I think we should try to get that
I guess
gate
the
open.
question is,
I'm sorry.
well, no, I was just going to ask, like, our question is, do we want to fight it here or try to lure it into a more suitable fighting location and then try to kill it there, or just completely run away?
I'd rather get out of this room and go back up to where we're not in the water. If it can't get through that gate because it's so bloated, we could take pot shots at it.
Give me a intellect check, Victor. Is this memories?
Any bands?
Nope, just straight up. It's memories, sort of think back.
I got an 8. So
What was it?
an 8.
Yeah, you get this deja vu sense. It just continues to linger at the back of your skull, and remember this thing. You could remember moving through the corridors. It's always a few steps behind you, this slimy, cancerous mass, infantile-like, screeching, wailing. You remember yourself moving up a stairwell, and it continues to do so, conforming to the halls, to the walls, sliding through, sort of amorphous. And when Vasily mentions maybe taking pop shots on the other side or not being able to fit through, I'm pretty sure this thing is going to be able to squeeze through. But you can't remember what or where you were, but you do remember that thing of its sliding through rather narrow places easily. You remember
Okay.
somebody you knew was smashed to a pulp by it. Yes, it was just a bloody smear when it was done. It consumed others, swallowing them whole. And all these memories just flood back of the horrors of this thing. This isn't the first time.
I'm going to yell, get that portcullis open. Get back to the room with the hatch.
All of you were about 50 feet ahead of this thing. You see that this bundle you have is really nothing more than some sort of animal bones mud. Vasily, you're at the lever, and if you give that a push, it looks like it's going to start lifting this portcullis up. So I'll let you guys tell me what you do, and then we will just sort of initiative roll this sort of.
I'm going to just start cranking it.
Okay. So Vasily starts cranking this thing, Victor. You're right there at the portcullis, and it starts rising up slowly, but it's rising. What do you do?
Well, I think because of the flood of the memories, like I'm just going to kind of collapse down to the ground, like holding my head almost, because like it's just a wave of not only just emotions but memories and things that I've forgotten. So I'm going to kind of take like this one round out because of that.
You see Victor as he kneels down on the ground, holding at his head. Something seems to be washing over him: emotions, fear, memories. You're not sure what it is, but doesn't seem to be in his right mind. Vasily cranks this thing, rising up the portcullis slowly, inch by inch, mud. You're at the edge of this dais, moving through the water. What do you do?
I am going to take off full speed towards the portcullis, and if it's open enough, I'm going to wedge my shield under it.
All right. As you continue to crank on this thing, Vasily, you could feel something near your leg, and look down. You can see one of these severed limbs of these bodies that spilled forth from the walls, grasping at you. You too, Mud. You can see all these hands grasping at you from the waters, grabbing a hold of you, trying to pull Victor as well down into the sludge. Everybody gets to give me either a strength or an agility, your choice, check, to not be grappled by these things.
So I will do agility. That's a 13 for me.
I'm gonna stare down at where they're grabbing at me and start frosting over the water, giving myself a boon, but that's just canceling out the one bane.
Gotcha.
17.
Beautiful. And Victor.
14. Did you hear me?
Oh, nope, sorry. What did you get?
14.
14. So all of you are able to pull free, move out of the way of these grasping hands, not quite pulled by them. Continue to crank on this thing, Vasily, opening up the gate the rest of the way as you feel this heavy slam beside you and see this thick, nasty appendage slam into the walkway and it sort of crumbles underneath the weight of this thing. It's only 10, 15 feet behind you, moving quickly through the water just behind Mud. What do you all do? You can see the portcullis is up probably high enough for you to get that shield under it, Mud, and you slam it into place. If you were able to move the shield, you're going to have to keep it, either leave it there to keep the portcullis up, or if you move it, it's just going to come crashing back down, unless Vasily holds the crank on his side.
Yeah, no. Get under. And I'll leave the shield in place.
Right, so Vasily and Victor, do you guys move through the portcullis?
Yeah, I'm going to move fast. I'm going to dash through it.
All right, back into this room with all these trophies and towards the stairwell. Victor.
Victor's going to do the same thing, but as he's doing so, he's going to relay basically the information that he got from his memories of saying, no matter where we go, this thing's going to follow us. Like it will squeeze through tight spaces.
As you
take your shield with you, don't leave it behind once we're on the other side.
As those two run through underneath this portcullis, running for the stairwell. Next to you, Mud, you can see you have time to grab the shield, but you're going to have to be quick. Would you like to go for it or just run?
I'm just going to run, double dash, and trying to remember as we run. It was when I tried to touch that cloak that the electricity kind of started going off, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'll just keep yelling, get to the room with the hatch.
You all hit these steps and start wrapping around, running up these stairwells. Behind you, you can hear the smashing of this creature and the bending, groaning of the steel of this portcullis. And if you look over your shoulder, Mud, as you're sort of the last in line, you can see this form smushing itself in between these bars and pulling free, wailing, screaming like an infant child in pain as it does so, and into this room with a sickening squelch as it plops onto the floor and starts moving across the floor. You can see the underneath of it, sort of slug-like, but it's just hundreds of small hands and arms pulling it across the ground. I'm going to have, Mud, since you're the one that's right there, we're going to be a 1d6, please.
3.
You hit the stairwell, all three of you, running up these things, up into the room above. Vasily, you're in the lead, and as you reach the top of these stairwells, it's just filled with thick black smoke. It chokes at your lungs, burns your nostrils, burns at your eyes, and you cannot see a thing in front of you, beside you. You can feel some tunnels here and there. In order to know where you're going or to try and get back to this room you're trying to get to, I'm going to need an intelligence check with one bane.
I'm looking at my...
in this smoke.
Let's see. What type of check is it?
Intelligence or intellect.
Let's see. I have an incantation of enhanced senses, which gives me +5 bonus on perception. Would that be of any benefit in this situation?
Yep, you could do that if you would like. Still give me an intellect. You can add the +5 to that in place of perception. But
well, I haven't used it yet, but I'll just give you a straight intellect roll. That's a 13.
Nice. You feel your way through these halls, up the stairwell. Was it to the right? Was it straight ahead? And you try to remember back to this room. You can feel the hallway to your right goes sort of slants down a little bit. And yes, you do remember going down the small incline into the hallway that led to this room. So you dash in that direction. Behind you, Victor, you can hear the cloven hooves of this fawn clattering across the floor, but you can't see a thing in this thick, acrid smoke. And Mud,
I'm calling out to them.
You can hear him in the distance calling out for you as you follow his voice into this room. As you burst into this room, Vasily, you can see that the smoke seems to come from this moon-like light that's from the ceiling. It just spills with this thick black smoke. You still cannot see anything in this room, but you can feel yourself about. Behind you, Mud, you can feel this wet tendril slap across the back of your calf, sort of across the neck. This thing is right behind you, screaming and wailing. And
I run towards where I try to find my way towards where that hatch was at, that uncovered secret passageway that we found.
nice. Give me a 1d6 roll, Vasily.
1d6. 2.
You will step into this room. You can hear Victor and Mornak and Mud pounding their feet behind you. You can feel the fur of this wolf. You can barely see it in this burning smoke. You can feel this statue, the billowing cloak. And then everything goes silent for a second. You can hear your own heartbeat. And then just the wailing cries of this creature. Everybody needs to give me a will challenge roll. It'll be towards this thing, so Mud, you would have 3 banes on this one.
Is this? Let's see. So I have.
Does the rest of us have any banes?
What was that?
Oh, only I had 3 banes. 9.
Does okay.
So I have 1 bane because it's a will check. So I roll a 14 minus 1 is 13.
So you were good. And Victor, what'd you get?
Luckily, I got a 16. So
Mud, this screaming, this crying, sort of takes you back to a time when you were just a young orc as well, and you've had a rather rough childhood, hatred against your kind. You remember the screams of pain, of innocents killed, lost, and it just shakes you to your core. You are going to be dazed for 1 turn, which means you are unable to do anything. Behind you, you can feel this thick, heavy weight as this thing is going to lurch forward.
1 turn or one round?
1 round, basically.
Oh, okay.
And with this heavy slam, the entire force of this thing hits you in the back, Mud, sends you flailing forward for 10 points of damage. You're going to hit the ground hard. You guys can't see him, but you can hear Mud's grunt, this screeching of this creature, and then his body just slam into the wall beside you, Vasily.
I'm going to grope around to see if I can grab him. Are you awake, Mud? Are you with us?
Yes. Go. Get in.
I grab him by the forearm and I pull him towards the direction where I think that hatch was at.
You drag him forward. Give me a strength challenge roll, Vasily, because he's a very large orc. And he doesn't seem to be moving very well.
Oh, that's a 3.
Oh, yeah.
You said that
Or responded there.
You trudge pulling at this orc of Mud. He doesn't seem to move. He looks confused. He mumbles something. You can't make it out. And he seems to flail about, trying to push you off of him, almost like he's fighting against you. Maybe he's mistaking you for this creature, Vasily. What did you say, Victor? Something with the orb?
Yeah, did you say I know we can't see in the room, but we can kind of tell where the orb is because that's where the black smoke is coming from?
But it's up on the ceiling about 30 feet above you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
Out of
Well, there goes
reach.
that plan.
And with that,
Yeah.
Victor, why don't you give me a 1d6 roll?
Awesome. Let's see. How about a 5?
Vasily, you continue to pull at this. Victor, up ahead, you can feel Vasily as he's struggling with mud, and it starts to clear enough. I mean, you're right there in front of him. You sort of make out mud on the ground, struggling with something. Vasily trying to pull him. And you remember this too. You've been here before. You remember this once, but then the whole room begins to shake. Just beside you, Victor, you can hear the wall get slammed by something and start to crumble. I need agility challenge rolls from everybody.
1 bane from, or no, do I?
It is not from the creature, so just 1 bane in your. No, actually, you're going to automatically fail because you're dazed.
So 17.
All right, you're good. And Victor.
I got a 5.
So Vasily, you get you get mud to his feet. He seems to start calming down a little bit. Then once again, this whole room shakes as this thing that seems like it's just lashing out at whatever can move. It just barely misses you, but slams into the wall. Again, you see mud just collapse to the ground, thrown off of his feet from the force of this. It doesn't hit him, but it smashes the wall beside him. You too, Victor, get thrown out of the way into the ground. Both of you are going to be prone, so you're going to have to take an action to stand up. You stand there, Vasily, and you can sort of make out this huge amalgus sort of form coming towards you, flailing like crazy. And
All right.
Now, you said I did remember this room?
it seems familiar, but you can't place it now.
Okay, never mind then.
You can hear Vasily saying something
Alrighty.
about a hatch, but
So I guess. Okay. So they didn't mention anything yet about the cloak?
just besides there being the hatch here, he hasn't mentioned where it is, or you're beside him, but you wouldn't know where the hatch is or what he's exactly looking for.
Okay. I'm going to say, because technically none of the names have been introduced yet. So I'm just going to say, goat person, go find this hatch. And I'm going to try to reach down for what he was trying to grab at. Because judging from the conversation, like I can tell that one of them's prone and needs help. So I'm going to try to help him.
So as you pull yourself back to these feet and yell that out, you'll hear him, Vasily, telling you to go and to get to this hatch. Mud, you'll feel these hands grab a hold of you, start to lift you up. But this thing is going to get an attack on you, Victor.
That's fine.
What is your defense? I don't have yours.
It's not like I can change it. Defense is a whopping 11.
So you'll feel one slam into your back, and as you stumble forward a little bit, you just caught straight in the face by another heavy slam. This thing hits you both times. 13 points of damage you're going to take. And you're thrown forward. You have a hold of Mud as you sort of yank him forward as well. You can hear Vasily just in front of you. You did not fail or anything on those, Vasily, so you can be able to move forward. You can feel this wall where this ladder is and the hatch up above you. You can hear
is everyone up on their
When
feet?
can we use
Yes, at the moment.
All right, I'm going to start moving towards the hatch then.
Clamber up this thing. And then this little hatch, the smoke really hasn't gotten too much in there yet. You move up. Above you is this hatch that is already opened up. You can see it's been thrown aside, but it's just a spinning blade that seems to almost be coming out of nowhere. And what do? Just spinning, almost like a fan, almost out of the wall, just constantly spinning around.
At the top of the hatch?
Yep.
Well, that doesn't bode well.
You can hear this creature slamming into the walls below you, screams of Mud and Victor as he's trying to help the orc up.
All right. Do I see the thing still, the creature still?
If you glance down, yeah, it's squeezing in between the small little area and starting to pull itself in right behind Mud and Victor below you.
Well, I don't know how I can get through the spinning blade, so I think we're just going to have to try to kill this thing. I'm just going to cast Shadow Dart at the thing.
All right. So it's basically it's a 5 foot by 5 foot little hallway almost. You would be up on the ladder, Victor, or I guess Mud, you would be next, and then Victor, you would be at the base, right where this thing's been hitting you. Go ahead and do your shadow dart on this thing.
So that's an 18 to hit.
Totally, yep.
It takes 10 points of damage, and it has 3 banes on any perception checks. As this smoky bolt of darkness bursts from my hand and impacts into it, and it's like wisps of blackness are surrounding it.
It lets out a crying, infantile scream of pain and just slams into the walls more, one after another, just pounding into the walls, trying to get at Victor and, excuse me, Mud. Victor and Mud, you guys would be on your feet and starting to move through this area, but you're right there, almost face to face to this thing. What do you two do? The wisp of smoke hits it, but it doesn't seem to affect it much.
But we can see the creature in front of us, even though like it's all smoky in here and
Yep.
all that. Or
Yeah, just because it's so massive and bloated and whatnot, you can see its form and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not too sure of how many.
Well, I guess I'm
going to be able to take, but it's right there.
I think my the fight or flight will kind of kick in, and we've already tried flight, so I'm going to try to fight it, and so I'm just going to kind of charge at it. But I'm going to try to move myself to like the other side of it, so that way like it will get more of its attention on me instead of the other two. So like basically I'm trying to separate myself a little bit from the other two and then try.
If you're going to try to get around it, I'm going to need an agility check just because it sort of has you cornered in this little hatch area. You could try to squeeze past it.
Okay. Well, then in that case, then no. I'll just try to attack it. And also, when can we use our triggered actions?
A triggered action is...
Isn't that like a...
It can be used by whatever triggers it, depending on what you're doing. Usually it says when this or this happens or something like that.
Okay. Well, the catch your breath, it's you can use your action or triggered action to heal yourself based on your healing rate.
Oh,
so it doesn't necessarily say...
In that case, yeah, you could use your action or the triggered action, or what's triggering in that way is basically you desiring to use it. So anytime, really.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to attack this thing and then also use my catch your breath to heal myself.
Okay.
So I rolled a 16.
Yep, that's a hit.
Is that going to... All right. Do I add strength to the damage?
No.
Okay, so it's just what the dice rolled.
Yep.
So it'll be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 points of damage.
Gotcha. Again, as your blade sinks into the thing, it just screeches and wails. And it lurches forward once again in response to you doing this with 2 more hits on you. 3, 4, 7. These heavy, slimy appendages slamming into you once, twice, and then a third time, Victor. It's going to be 8 more points of damage as it just continues to pound into you.
Good thing I healed myself.
Right behind you, Mud, you are stuck in this little hatch. Above you is Vasily on the ladder. And you can see the spinning blade like fan that's blocking this hatch that he's struggling with. And below you is Victor just getting smashed over and over by this infantile, cancerous behemoth thing that's
Is there any chance of me squeezing through back into the room?
I would need an agility check, but it does not look promising. It's basically pushed itself into this, almost blocking your path out.
How far from this little doorway was that statue with the?
It is right around the corner. It's, I mean, out of the doorway, and then it's 10 feet. Well, not even 10 feet, really, but to the right of it.
I am going to take a deep breath and attempt to squeeze by it, but as I release the breath, you're gonna see frost and all as I hit a prayer.
You will have the 3 banes. Well, the one prayer will knock one out.
Bring me down to 12.
As you try to squeeze back, you will trigger an attack from this thing. You're able to start to smush past this thing, trying to shove it out of the way a little bit, trying to get to pass it. Then you feel a hand grip at your ankle, another one grab a hold of you, and it just begins to start squeezing as it wraps around you, crushing you for 10 points of damage. And then it just throws you back into this little area.
Yeah.
Vasily, you can see the 2 below you just getting pounded. You see Mud as he tries to get past it and then throwing back into this small little hallway you're trapped in. Above you,
Does it look like it's taken any damage from anything that we've done?
it doesn't seem to be phased by anything that you've done. You can see some wounds open on it and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem to care.
So, I mean, is everyone down, or are they still up and about?
I am down.
Oh, okay.
Mud just collapsed on the ground as just being thrown in there. Victor is still standing, and you're hanging on the ladder.
All right. How far away is Mud?
It's only a 10-foot up, so he's just 10 feet below you at the base of the ladder.
All right. I'm just going to slide down the ladder. When I get to the bottom, pull out my healing potion and dump it in his mouth.
Heal your healing rates, Mud.
That's right.
Victor, you can see Mud go down. This goat man pour a healing potion down his throat as the work starts to wake back up. In front of you, this flesh blob screeches and wails. You can see the infantile face in front of you staring back at you, just screaming in pain and crying. What do you do?
There's so many things that I have popped into my head that I want to do, but because of my knowledge, yeah, it's just. Can I climb up the ladder now that he's?
You can see it tries to push itself in further, blocking off any chance of you getting out of this little hatch area. You can climb up and around Vistili. He's quite small up this ladder if you would like, yes.
There's just the spinning slide.
Okay. I would like to do that. Well, yeah. Once I get up on the ladder, I want to take a look at these spinning blades. Is it just like blades, or is it like he said, size?
It seems to be coming from the walls itself, just spinning blades that come out of the wall, whirling around, almost like Sith-like traps from either side of the hatch. You'd have to somehow stop them.
Do I think I can? I would like to, or do I think if I shoved my bastard sword up in where these blades are coming out, like, would that stop it?
With the force they're spinning and stuff, you think yes, it would probably jam them, but it would likely jam your sword in place as well.
Okay. Versus losing the weapon versus us staying alive, I think I would lose the weapon. Mm-hmm. Just saying. So I will attempt to do that.
All right.
Do you want a strength roll or
either an agility to time it right or a strength just to jam it into place? Your choice, whichever one. But either way, you will use your blade to basically keep it in place. Yeah.
Okay. A 12. Did a 12 work?
What you got?
Uh, 12.
Yep. So as you see this man skip past you, Vasily, up this ladder, taking this sword that he has. It looks quite nice, and he's kept well care of it. But he takes it and jams it in place in between the hatch and the spinning blades, and they just come to a sudden stall as they grind. You can hear these gears in the walls grinding and twisting and the screeching. For the moment, the blades are stopped. You don't know how long it's going to hold, Victor, but if you would like to pull yourself up through, you may.
Can I instead like reach down and try to? I know I can't reach them, but like basically like get them up faster if I'm like holding myself or holding my hand out to where like I can help them get up faster.
So, Celia, you see this man reach down after he stops these blades from spinning, motioning you for you to hurry up and get up.
So, looking at this thing and having my experience with magic, do I think this might be an undead creature, or is it something else?
It is something else. It's definitely
Something
not
else.
undead, but it looks to be
Okay.
some sort of probably what the alteration magic you were sensing from the room. It looks like they've twisted Walter into some sort of whatever this is.
Okay. All right. So since he's not undead, I'm just going to try to dart up the ladder and go through the hatch. Is it Mordak, Mud, follow?
So you rush up through this thing. Give me a 1d6 roll.
1d6. 2.
Get about halfway through, and you can hear the grinding and whirring of these blades as they try to push through. You can hear this sword, and you look over and you see it skip a little bit and move a blade inches a little bit closer out, continuing to get ready to almost break free of this jammed in, but you were able to get yourself up and through into this, what looks to be a den of some sort. Victor, you hang on the ladder and you motion Mornak will hurry up through. Let's see. He will pull himself up through. As he does, his foot catches on the edge of the sword, his robes, and it pulls the hilt out a little bit more. And again, the blades skip forward a little bit. They miss him, but the sword is just barely holding these things into place at the moment.
Am I able to grab onto the hilt of it to try to hold it in place?
You could try if you happen to knock it free or whatever. You might lose a hand, but you can most certainly try.
Well,
yeah,
I'm going to go see if
because
Mud can
the
get
blade
up through first.
is on the other side. Well, can I grab the handle since I'm on like the bottom half? Like, can I grab the hold of the handle and try to hold it in place from my end?
If you would like. You have better reach for it, so I would need a strength challenge roll from you to hold it into place.
Okay.
Why don't you do that before Mud goes through? Give me a strength challenge roll with 1 Bane.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I can't fail it, I don't think, because I rolled an 18. So even if I rolled a 6, which I did, so that will be a 14 for me.
Okay. Grab a hold of this, trying to hold it into place. You can feel that it's the blades, these gears on the other side are pushing quite hard against this blade. It won't bend the blade or damage it, but it'll definitely skip it out or, break free once again. Mud, you have a few seconds if you would like to try to get through. Behind you, this thing is lashing out, getting ready to smash into you once more.
So I'm going to work my way up, and if the thing looks like it's going to take a swing at me, I'm actually going to grab Victor and push him up.
All right. And let's see.
That's funny.
It definitely is lashing out at you. So basically your choice, Mud. You can shove Victor up through and take the hit, or dodge the hit, and it'll probably hit Victor.
I mean, it only makes sense. I'm the last one coming through. That, I'm taking the hit.
So do you shove Victor through instead?
I do.
All right. So you can see this orc coming up the stair or the ladder behind you, Victor, down at the bottom base of this little tunnel area. Walter pulls himself through and begins to rise up almost in this tunnel, sort of flesh-like, lashing out. Instead of going through this hatch, this orc just grabs you, kind of shoves you from your ass up and shoves you up through this thing. Give me a 1d6 roll, Victor.
A 3.
You feel it, not quite expecting it, not quite ready for it, but the orc does shove you up through this hatch. You're able to move just barely out of the way of the sword. You let go of it in time to not yank it free, so it still continues to hold in place. But you see Walter below. As it lashes out at you, misses you, but instead hits this orc. 5 points of damage on Mud. Are you up? I don't know. What does that do to you?
Exactly what I had in the other picture.
And it just smashes him into this wall. And then you see the orc just fall back on top of this massive, cancerous-like body growth of this thing.
Can I attempt to hold on to the sword as it hits me?
Sure. Do you want the sword?
Well,
Or?
I was going to ask, like, as he's falling down.
Well, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, as he's falling down, is it
to get through.
What was that, Victor?
Well, I was going to ask, is it possible as he's falling down, could like I reach down and grab him and then pull up his dead carcass? When I say dead, knocked out.
You can give me I'm going to say an agility challenge roll to react in time with, you knew the attack was coming, but not him doing that, so just straight up agility roll to grab a hold of him.
Okay. All right. Come on, dice. Oh, that's not good. That's a 6.
I'm going to use my fortune point.
Oh, snap.
That's 14 points.
And what would you
So
like
I'm going
do
to
with
use
that
my
fortune?
fortune point to turn his D20 roll failure into a success.
Nice. Reach out, Victor, trying to grab a hold of this orc that saved your life and took the blow for you. His fingers brush yours, and just as you think you have a hold of him, you don't. He falls onto this ooze, this creature below you. But you see this one last as he reaches out, trying to grasp a hold of the sword, Mud. You can feel your life draining quickly. You can feel this thing wrapping around you. Then you feel the grip of this man as this Walter engulfs you. You're able to, as he reaches out to try and grab a hold of the sword, Victor, you grab his hand instead. You can pull him up through, but your sword's going to fall.
That's fine.
So you grab him, yank him up. You can feel your whole body get lighter before you pass out, Mud. As you pull this orc up through, as you pull him free, the sword finally dislodges, drops down, and this blade starts spinning once again. Walter continues to come up through. He's going to be caught by this thing, but he is on a mission basically to get you, so he just continues to get pulled through as he's sliced and diced. But what do all of you do? Mud has passed out, unconscious, bleeding, bashed.
Well, since that door was right by the front door,
I will-
I'm just going to start dragging Mud towards the front door.
All right. Run over to where this door is, Vasily.
I will pull out
Yep, go ahead.
a healing potion and shove it in Mud's throat. Well, make him drink it, not shove the potion in his throat. You know.
All right, heal your healing rate, Mud.
All right. No. Out of here.
Behind you, Walter just continues to pull himself up through. You can see the blades digging into this flesh-like thing. Blood plus gore spraying everywhere across this room. Eventually, the blades just become clogged with all of the meat and gore that it seems to be pulling free. And he continues still to pull himself up through, starting to fill this room. Vasily, you grab this door and rip it open. It leads back into the little spiral chamber that had the staircase up. And right to your left is the doors that leads to the foyer where you left these two children.
All right, I'm just going to shout to everyone, this way! I'm going to start heading towards the foyer.
Come around the corner, swing open these double doors into the foyer. You see two children standing there, grinning, Their flesh is this pale, sickly sort of color, serrated like teeth. They look very feral, strange, blocking your exits. Behind you, Walter starts to push himself through this doorway. And what time is it? You all have like 10 minutes? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Who would like to go fast? Or slow?
I will go slow.
Yeah,
I will go slow.
gotcha.
Remind me fast. I could do an action, but can't move. If I go slow, I can do an
Correct.
action
Yep,
and
you got it.
move. Correct. Okay, then in that case, I will go slow as well.
And Victor, slow. And Warnock has to go slow as well in order to move. All right, these two children block your exit behind you. Walter continues to pull himself through the door, just covered in open wounds that are bleeding, pus, gore everywhere, screaming and wailing. Vasily, why don't you give me a 1d6 roll?
1d6. It's a 6.
As you turn, you can see these kids. You turn, look over your shoulder at Walter. He's pushed himself out into this large open room where the stairwell is. All these wounds opened up, and it looks like it lurches a little bit. The whole massive flesh quivers a little bit, and you just see this vomiting stuff just shoot forth. I need strength challenge roll from all three of you, please. Mud, we have 3 Banes because it's from Walter.
14.
Well, since he passed out, like, would that go away?
Not
Or
really, because it's still a condition that's going to linger because he's still conscious of what it was. And
Okay.
so it's not like in D&D.
3 bait, I got 13.
all right, you are good at the moment.
You said will challenge?
Strength.
Strength. Okay. That's an
You are
18
good.
for me.
And Vasily.
I had a 14.
All of you are good. Is this disgusting bile, blood, and pus, gore just washes over all of you as it vomits forth. It is disgusting, but you're able to withstand it for the moment. And these two children do not move. They just stand in front of this doorway, blocking your exits. Mornek will look at all of you, trying to figure out what to do. I'm just going to hold his action based on what you guys do. So in that case, Vasily, you are up. Right behind you is Walter. In front of you are these two children blocking your exits.
All right. I cast Hide from Undead on myself and run past them.
Nice. They have this confused look as they look around. But yes, you can squeeze right past them. The door behind them is open, which leads back out into the yard and roadway. As you guys see, Victor, as he just dashes past these two children. Do you do anything else? Because you would still actually have an action. Oh, no, because you actioned and then spelled and then...
Yeah, I cast the spell and then I ran. Yeah.
Gotcha. In that case, Mud, you are up.
So I'm actually going to, not having the hide from undead spell, I'm going to move and use the disengage action to kind of leap over the kids and work my way out.
Nice. They will actually be afraid of your little holy symbol tattoo thing too as well. So, yes, as you rush forward, they shy back a little bit and try to lash out, but you can squeeze past these things and start following Vasily. Victor, what do you do as these two rush past? You can see these children lash out at this orc as he goes past, but they seem almost afraid of him.
Could I, because technically I do have a small shield on me, is it possible for me to equip that and run through and take the disengage action?
Yeah, equipping it would sort of be like a free action.
Or is that asking
so you grab that, and then you would still have your move and your...
Okay. Okay, then yeah, I will definitely do that. Pull out the small shield and just kind of grip it with both hands, kind of deal, and just barrel through these children and take that disengage action as well,
Please.
and run straight
All
through.
right. As you rush past these two things, I will actually have Mornak do the same as well. All of you spill forth into the courtyard.
Oh, if I need to,
Go ahead.
never mind. Like, if you're just having him repeat our action and there's nothing going to happen to him, because honestly I forgot about him. I was going to say I would help him make it through if I need to, but if he makes it through all right, then
Yeah, because I'm just going to have him basically do
I'll
the same
just
thing. So
keep
he sort of puts his staff up in front of him. He doesn't really have a shield, but he just kind of swings wildly as he runs these things. They swipe and try to tear at you. Same thing with Walter. He slams against the walls and stuff, but between disengaging and moving, you all dodge out of the way of this and spill out into the yard outside. As you look behind you, these children just stand in the doorway. They watch the wails of Walter echo everywhere, and then the house starts to crumble a little bit. A shingle here, a brick there. You see these wrought iron fences around it sort of rust away in front of you, falling to the ground. And you realize all the death that surrounds you, all the dead, all the people tortured, killed, sacrificed at this place. The blasphemous halls that you got out of. Dead, you can hear them screaming in the distance in the ground. You can see Walter clawing as this house starts to crumble down around him. And all of you hurry yourselves off this porch into the mists, this fog that wraps around this place outside. And you look around. Down below you, you can see the town that you were moving toward. There's a light on here or there. This house, it's debauchery, this disgust that seems to almost overwhelm all of you. You've escaped it. You wonder almost at what cost. You don't even really know where you are, or what this place is, or why you were come here. And it's almost as if this house was a test of some sorts. You still feel like you're being watched, especially you, Mud. You feel this cold touch on your shoulder, this whispering in your ear, this cackling. You've been haunted for a long time by something, someone, and it just laughs at you. You can hear its cackling in your ear, calling you a failure, berating you. Victor, you haven't been outside in what feels like centuries. You don't even remember. You've hoped to once again see sun or something, but instead all it is this thick, choking mists, fogs that swirls around your ankles. The sky above you is black, no stars, no moon. The ground everywhere around you is washed by this pale light. And all of you can hear a chuckle, a laughter on the wind as this house just crumbles into the ground. You hear the final screams of Walter, the crying, the children. And Vasily, with your background in necromancy and little bits, as you watch this, you do see the spirit of these two children flitter off out of the ground and off into the distance. They stop making eye contact for a moment, almost thanking you. The smile on this young boy's face, his teddy bear in hand, and then they're gone. All that remains here is the crumbling ruins of a house in the ground. Just the whole thing collapses. And what do you all do before we end it this evening?
Let's head to town.
I agree. And with that, Victor's actually going to take the hood that's on his cloak and like put it over his head, and he's like kind of shielding his eyes. Even though it's dark, it is still like bright to his eyes.
And Mud, what is your parting thoughts?
Well, Mud will stand up quite silently, reach into his bag and pull out the ceremony book for the Night Mother, and just throw it in the dirt, and turn around and walk away.
Nice. And we shall leave there for the evening.